Hello, this is Tom Carhill. It's the 21st, so it's Wednesday the 21st of August 2024. Right, as I've explained in a previous video of yesterday, the government has put out this campaign trying to make out as though you can't say anything about anything, otherwise you'll go to prison. And if you are aware, Geert de Wilders from the Netherlands, also known as the Haircut, he got into power on a populist vote, which just means a common sense vote, not wanting to destroy the country, not liking communism, not liking letting the entire third world in and giving them houses in the middle of all the major cities instead of people who actually do jobs, and then making it impossible for them to have children while letting the refugees do exactly whatever they want, and probably multiply about 25 times the rate of the indigenous population, white population that is. So that's what populist means, just like normal common sense, which is the exact type of thinking that every other single nation on the world has by default, and there's no contention about it, and they feel they get on with actual politics rather than genocide politics of how much genocide you'll let your own parties that you voted for, allegedly, and they apparently listen to the votes, which it clearly don't, because nobody votes for their own genocide, do they? So anyway, so he got in, and then this immigration minister or something, she then immediately got on and she said, anybody who thinks there's a plan, she didn't call it the K plan or the Kalergi plan, or a great replacement, or this, or foreigners are bad, or mass immigration's bad, all going to be a subject of the going to be subjected to a great amount of attention of our intelligence services, and you know, you've got no place in our society, etc, etc. So that's happened there, but of course no one pays attention to that, or a very small amount of people do. Now the thing is that one of the stupid things Kier Starmer said is, he said he's coming after Elon Musk, the pretend billionaire who's got the pretend SpaceX and he's pushing these duff electric cars, even though electric cars are about 150 years old, these duff ones with the microchips in them, which could clearly just be zapped by any one of a million different ways that would attract those chips and set them off and make the car blow up. They're the most stupidest concept of a car going. You can't even open the doors without using electricity. They're absolute death traps. All they need to do, if they want to kill everyone in those cars, is start messing around with different wave frequencies which would hit the chips in those cars, which of course an old electric car, which worked completely fine, wouldn't have. So you couldn't do that to them, but these ones are complete death traps. They've got so many back doors. There's more it's more like what part of the car isn't a back door to burn the people to death in it without them having a chance to get out, or just drive it off, take control of it and drive it around running over pedestrians in a pedestrianised area. There's so many things you can do wrong with these cars. Just drive them all into the sea, that would be another thing you could do. It's just, there's nothing it's more easier to say what can't go wrong with them than what can go wrong with them, and I think you'd be a very brave man who'd be able to actually state, yeah, I think, even like be sure that that thing wouldn't be a back door. It will be a back door. Everything on them's a back door. Okay, so he's saying he doesn't want him saying whatever he wants, and he's going to come after him, whatever that means. Then he's saying he's going to extradite him to England. We're not sure what he said, which he doesn't like. Now, he did say something which I've covered about his pretend children who are pretend transgender. There's no such thing as transgender. There's hermaphrodites, and there's people who have gender dysphoria. They're not all lumped into the same thing, and they're also not trans as in transvestites, or trans as in like I don't know, it's all a complete mess. It's all complete mess, blending everything up together so it becomes absolutely meaningless, and then applying it to little children as an early age as possible. Right, so I mean, of course this is all good because love is love, but anyway, the thing is, this is a big deal. They're trying to say that they can extradite people from America to England. They're not really going into the details now. This creepy little, I think he might be the head of the Met, or the second down head of the Met, but he's definitely the political boss of the Met. And he's saying he looks like a pedo, doesn't he? The guy definitely looks like a Jewish pedo mafia member. He looks like someone like Gary Burns. He's got that look of Jewish paedophile about him. So he's clearly in the club. Otherwise, he wouldn't be saying all these sick things. And he wouldn't be saying that he wanted to get Elon Musk, because there's no possible thing that Elon Musk has said that he couldn't question. I don't believe. I mean, he said things about migration, I think, but remember, this is the big point I'm going to make. None of these free speech trials ever turn out to be legit, because the people are all government agents, and guess what? They all confess to having done it. if you confess to doing something, right, which is not actually legally enforceable because it's actually protected in the Constitution, and then they made some new crackpot legislation which allegedly says something which it probably doesn't even say, and then that allegedly means something or infers something, means you can charge people for absolutely anything you want at any time, and then ignore people doing things like raping and stabbing and actually inciting hatred, which they never pursue. All of these things should be taken with the utmost suspicion, to the point, I wouldn't even say it's suspicion anymore. Every single one of these cases, they say the person admitted it. These cases are often made up. Remember, they have fake trials. Remember, Ian Puddick, Ian Puddick, completely fake Twitter trial, completely fake Jewish alleged victim who didn't even exist. You've got Puddick, who's a Jewish pedo mafia agent, who's got links to Kroll, who was apparently the company was persecuting him. He's got links to the City of London police, who don't really investigate that type of thing anyway, which is quite an important thing to take into account. But he's got links to them. He had quite a few of them in his pocket. This is well known. He bragged about it on Twitter because he was fed information about people hanging about outside his car, outside his house in various cars. So he was bragging about the fact he had police in his pocket. He was always going on about how he knew top cops. He'd always called it cops. Freemasons, yeah? Freemason controlled, in the pocket of the Jewish pedo mafia. We know they're in his pocket. He's in it. He's 100% in it. He was bragging about the Paris massacre that never happened. Before it even happened, he was tweeting about it. You know, he's just laughing at them, and that's why a lot of people don't want to have anything to do with him anymore, because he's just making Freemasonry and Jews look absolutely shit. Whereas in the past, people didn't really know how shit they were, but he's just laughing about it and making a big joke about it. But anyway, so don't be thinking any of these cases are even real by default. They're probably made up, but in the cases they trick some idiot into admitting doing something wrong, then, well, they've put themselves there, haven't they? So they're all bullshit. So just completely ignore them. And the fact that they're saying they're going to be able to extradite people from America is so completely ridiculous. That should be a little clue to you. It's a bit like saying you're going to be able to go to prison for having baked beans in your house. No, you can't, right? That's not going to work. It's never going to be accepted. And if someone starts saying these ridiculous things, just like I was covering in the very last video I did, there's two things that govern things in this country. You've got procedures and what they say, no, don't enforce that because it's racist or whatever. So you can have the law, but then if you just en masse have every single government institution and big company not do what the law is and do the exact opposite of what the law is, otherwise they get financially penalised or lose their jobs, the law becomes irrelevant then. But it's not irrelevant if you know that it actually has primacy over any made up, like, social media trend. The law has been there for a lot longer than they have been there, and it will still be there after it. They're trying to trick you into thinking that what everybody knows, everybody says, is more important than what the law says. Yeah, and case precedent and stuff. And if all the case precedent is, if you admit to doing some crackpot thing which isn't even illegal, you don't have any right to appeal because you said you've done it, you see. And you can say, oh, they tricked me into saying it. Lawyers are always tricking people into saying things. They're more likely to trick you if you've paid for them, as opposed to like a, you know, the one that they call if you get arrested, you get that duty solicitor, right? And this is very much like the way Kier Starmer's now. This is very significant because it's sort of the opposite way round. He's now saying there was no evidence against Jimmy Savile. Well, so far as I saw, there was no evidence against Jimmy Savile. I'm not saying there was no evidence against Jimmy Savile. I have no idea. But I never saw any evidence against Jimmy Savile. The only evidence was everybody knows. Everybody knows it's not evidence. It was like just a media circus of gibberish to see how thick the public are. And of course, the public are always more thick than what you think they are. So even though he's saying now that there was no evidence on Jimmy Savile, that's not really important. He's just one person and he's dead. The point is, there was never any published evidence on him, and they were going on about it internationally. He's known as the world's biggest pedo without a single shred of evidence. This shows you the power of the media. There could be lots of evidence on it, but none of it was ever revealed. They just said everybody knows. Everybody knows is not evidence. It will never be evidence. So if everybody thinks that having a thought in your head which is wrong think, is a crime, then it sort of becomes a pseudo crime. But it isn't a crime. You've just got to block yourself off from everybody knows and what the newspapers said, because they're not going to extradite Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is an actor. So if they extradited him, right, how is that going to work? It's not going to work. It'll be just like another Julian Assange. It will just be completely stupid. It can't happen. And if the Americans go along with it and go, yeah, all right, whatever, it's just stupid. The public is so thick, they believe that somebody tried to assassinate Donald Trump, which most people do. But you've got to see now, the people do deserve what they get, because you have to be a very immoral gun nut, right, to think that you can shoot a bullet and it just gives someone a paper cut and doesn't even cause them to have to... You can't give someone a paper cut with a bullet. It can't happen. It's completely stupid. Everything about it is completely stupid. And then people go, we've got to believe it because someone died. Who says? It's complete lies. If people are immoral enough to believe that stupid story, yeah, they don't deserve an opinion, they don't deserve a vote, but of course they do have a vote, and they're actually the most vocal people about freedom and stuff. So they're all scum. Don't be thinking people who talk about freedom are good. They're not. They're just scum. It's like people who say, oh yeah, I don't think we should go to war with this country, that country, or that country, but I've got to support the troops. Why would you support the troops? They've signed up knowing they're going to go and do criminal things in other countries that's not going to support, say, American interests. So they don't really deserve any support. I do believe they should receive support when they come home if they've got injured and stuff, and I don't believe Somalian pirates should get all the houses so that they just have to sit there and they'll never be able to afford to sensibly settle down and have a house or anything. Obviously this is completely wrong. But at some stage that the elastic band will snap and then things will change. But you've got to remember that all these revolutions and things that people talk about, they're always preceded by people pushing them into a revolution. So things like saying you can extradite people for telling the truth in another country or something. I mean, it's all very Julian Assange, isn't it? If you think about it. Of course you can't. It's absolute nonsense. With Julian Assange, apparently he was disseminating leaked information. Don't know how it got leaked. They don't bother with that. Of course, the crime might be leaking it. But again, that's contentious, because if it's just showing a load of war crimes, then you're allowed to leak it, aren't you? That's what the Geneva Convention, Convention would say, or I think that's that. I'm not sure. The point is, it would be very contentious, but it wouldn't be at the point of the leak, would it? It would be at the point of the person who actually gave the leaker the information. Right, so all of these freedom of speech alleged crackdowns, yeah, they're all run by the Jewish pedo mafia. And we know they're involved with this because it started off with Ian Puddick, a well-known Jewish pedo mafia agent, yeah, doing fake court cases against himself, pushed in front of the court by a fake victim who doesn't even exist, but would be in the Jewish pedo mafia because of who he worked for, which is a Jewish pedo mafia firm. So there you go. Just don't believe any of it. It's all complete rubbish. They're taking people out of prisons to put freedom of speech people in. It's all just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. They do probably want to let a lot of black people out of prison who were all crazy and think that they're allowed to stab people because they need reparations or something, despite the fact they ran the slave trade and white people didn't have anything to do with it. All this type of stuff, you've got a load of completely brainwashed people, and prisons are, remember, a brainwashing area for Muslims and blacks who've just easily led blacks. Not all blacks, but the ones who get sent to prison for stabbing someone because of they've listened to too much drill rap. These people are obviously not very bright, and they're very, very easily susceptible, because they obviously don't have any self-respect, because they don't value themselves enough to not keep getting sent to prison and just being complete wasters. So they're easy peasy people to... If you're a loser, you've got no prospects in life, and people go, if you go and stab that person, everyone on our little group will like you and you'll be famous. Well, I know a normal person goes, that's rubbish, I'm not doing that. So you've got to understand, even at a normal level of self-respect, which isn't very high, even at a normal level of self-respect, which for instance this country is extremely low, no one would do it. So you've just got to see how catastrophically low their self-respect level is. So freedom of speech, it's still here, it's not going anywhere. They're just pretending, and they're tricking people into confessing things which they don't have to confess to. Like the police say, we'll never do a no comment interview, because if you do a no comment interview, it will be looked down on badly. They look down on everybody like they're a piece of shit, trust me that, right? So they don't like people to do what will get them away with you can get away with murder by just not answering any questions. So you can definitely get away with the freedom of speech thing, because if you just say no comment, then they've got to prove you did it, they've got to spend fucking millions on proving that somebody else didn't get into your system. Remember, the Jewish pedo mafia control YouTube and they control Twitter. One day I had 64,000 extra followers on Twitter, but at the time I used to get notified of every new follower on my Hotmail. So Puddick stuck a load of new views on it. That happened overnight. No, I wouldn't have been able to get way through all those emails in like 6 weeks. Getting rid of, well, I just had to delete all the Twitter ones, wouldn't I? Do a filter. But you see, the point is, then there was one about Michael Dougherty being his little COINTELPRO monkey. Michael Dougherty's now dead, by the way, allegedly. And Puddick did a kind of like, what do you call it, eulogy from Finland with a jester hat on about Michael Dougherty and how he died and how sad he was. But you see, the thing is he was definitely working for Puddick. And then Puddick put on the video I did saying he's his little COINTELPRO monkey. He put like 25,000 views on it overnight. I've never got 25,000 views on any video ever. It's just completely ridiculous. They completely control all of that stuff. So if someone says you put something on Twitter, you just say, no I didn't, or no comment, prove it, sort of thing. Because they completely run it, and they've proven they've completely run it in the past. This is how they run. They can't ever actually prove you've done anything because they're so crooked, and the Jewish pedo mafia completely runs the internet. So you've got something on your computer and you just say, well, did I? How can you prove it? We've proven time and time again that they pick and choose who they select for these things, and probably if they actually found anything dodgy on your computer, they just recruit you. I think they actually have got a process of recruiting people. I'll do another video on that another day. But all of this freedom of speech stuff, if you don't go along with it, there's no way you could ever get prosecuted for it. It's as simple as that. Okay, thanks very much. I've been Tom Cahill. It's Wednesday, the 21st of August 2024. Thank you very much. I'd like to know what you think. Bye-bye.